I am a fan of free motion machine quilting, and I do a lot of my own quilting, especially on our Stitching Cosmos online course quilts, and it is all about lowering the feed dogs, putting on a free motion quilting foot, and having some fun playing and stitching. So the Singer Confidence Quilter model 7469Q comes with a free motion quilting foot. Now, we were just doing a video on the included walking foot, so let's talk about what the differences are between these two techniques, and then I'll show you how we switch over. So when we're talking about going through batting and having fabrics on the top and on the back, sometimes when you sew through this with just a regular presser foot, those fabrics start to slide. If you want to do straight stitching or decorative stitching like we've done here, with the feed dogs up, you'll use a walking foot. But if you want to do stitching where the stitches are in its own pattern and you're physically moving the fabric left or right and around, which I'm going to show you how to do, then you're working with a foot like this one, a free motion quilting foot. So we've actually already removed the standard presser foot, but both these feet here are put on by removing also the ankle. So on the side of the machine, on the left side, we have loosened the screw and taken off not only the lower presser foot, the snap-on part, but also the ankle. So as we switch over, we'll do the same thing, but this time I'm going to just take the screw out of the walking foot part here, and I'll even show you just how we put this on, because there's a little extra piece that is really important that sits over the top of the needle screw. So I'm just going to loosen that enough so I can slide this out, and you can see that on a walking foot there is that little extra arm here that, as you see it, slips over that screw. So we don't have that extra arm on a free motion quilting foot. We almost just have this little springy part here at the top, and as we kind of bring that into position, and if you don't want to take the whole screw out the side, you can push up on the lever that lifts the foot up, and you can bring it up a little higher, so we can just kind of sit that in place. I'm tightening it just a little bit more with my fingers, and then I'll use the screwdriver to kind of snug it nicely onto that post, because as we're stitching, we definitely don't want it wiggling loose while we're sewing. So just a little extra tighten there, perfect. And now you can see that that little spring actually sits above this screw. So as we sew, it kind of comes up and down and bounces against that. Now, when we start to stitch, we'll need to make sure that our presser foot goes down. You'll see that the foot doesn't actually touch the fabric, but kind of floats above it. And then the last thing we're going to do is actually lower the feed dogs. That is done on the back side of the machine. So slide the accessory box off, and on the back side you're going to find a little lever, and you're going to need to push down on the lever and then over to the right side. And as you do, so it kind of goes down and over and then clicks up. So when you bring those teeth back up when we're done, you're going to push down and then over to the left, and then it will snap back up. So it is just a little push down and over to this side. And a little reminder that once you do bring them back up or move the lever to the right side, the teeth don't actually come up until you take a stitch. So currently they are down, and that just kind of makes sure that my fabric isn't being pulled or pushed with those feed dogs. They're completely out of the way. So I'm going to give you just a few tips to get started, but you might find that it's kind of awkward as you first get started. And I highly recommend that you continue your education and search out some machine quilting courses online. Craftsy is one of my favorites, where you can go in and have lots of wonderful machine quilting teachers teach you how to perfect your different shapes and also how to prepare your fabric. But I wanted to focus on is really the putting on the foot and using this particular machine. Once I get started, I also need to show you a little bit about tension as well. So if you want to do it the way you're supposed to do it, hold on to the thread at the top here and take one full stitch. So you can step on your foot control and just kind of tap it once and let that needle take a stitch. And that pink thread, that's my bobbin thread. So what I was doing is actually holding my thread, taking a stitch, so we can bring our bobbin thread up to the top of the fabric. Then that way when I start to stitch, there's not a little tail that I have to go fishing out later. So here's the thing. As you move your fabric while you're sewing, if you sew really fast but don't move it very quickly, you get lots of little stitches. If you sew slowly and move your fabric very quickly, you get long stitches. So the goal is to find the happy medium. And that's the part that takes a little practice, is running the machine at a nice medium speed and moving your hands to create a stitch length that might look a little bit more normal, like when you're actually doing sewing. So if I'm stopping, I'm going to turn my hand wheel towards me, down into that fabric, so I can take a peek underneath. So what I'm looking for is stitches that look the same on the front as I do on the back. And actually, I am pleasantly surprised to have actually seen that. Sometimes when I stitch, I might get some extra bobbin thread down below, and it might show more than I'm wanting it to show. And that would mean that I would need to tighten up the top tension. So for right now, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do some stitching and show you what you're able to accomplish with the free motion quilting foot. So this is almost just like a little stippling, which is a great little way to practice getting used to the speed of your machine and how fast to move your hands while you're sewing. There's only one way to get good at this, is put in some time, take some online courses, and truly work to master your free motion quilting. We have lots of videos on the Singer Confidence Quilter Model 7469. You can find all of them linked in the description below. And if this video has been helpful for you, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel.